3 Points of Articulation podcast. Hello and welcome to the bone crunching sessions for the 3 Points of Articulation podcast. I'm your host, the big tasty Jamie Wills, and we are joined today from one part of the wrestling figure industry that we never thought we'd speak to, but I'm so glad that we are. It's a crowdfunder for wrestling figures, Dan Friedman from Squared Circle Toys. How are you, Daniel?
Oh, not bad. How you doing today, Jim?
I'm perfect. Based over in New Jersey, just to clarify the accent straight away.
What accent? I don't have an accent.
No, you don't. From New Jersey.
Jersey. Oh,
Jersey.
I'm starting with that already.
I've seen the programs. I know exactly what I'm sure. Ringside Chaos, which is the new line, which is coming out from you guys. A bit of a crowdfunding, a bit of a Kickstarter for you guys. First of all, how did it come about? What sparked off in your head when you thought, I'm going to start my own crowdfunder for these figures?
Well, let's go back really, I want to say about 4 years ago. This is the first time that this really popped into my head. It wasn't so much of the ringside personnel. It was more of characters, professional wrestlers that haven't had figures made, stuff that Figures Toy Company was doing with their Legends of the Ring, stuff that a lot of the wrestlers that Jazwares is doing by AEW. Unfortunately, I'm only one man and I don't have a lot of the resources that a lot of the bigger companies did. A lot of people do. So I just for years just took notes, wanted to do, specific, characters and create a line that will, I said it back then, I like the term fill the gaps, hashtag fill the gaps, what I use. Fill the gaps in a lot of people's collections. I always wanted to do it with the Jakks Pacific figures. Obviously that ship sailed a little while ago after they lost the license to Mattel, but the big thing right now is really the Mattel line. And I wanted to, they can only do so many people that are under the WWE umbrella or WCW that, fall underneath the WWE umbrella, but they can't go out and get, different characters that are not underneath the contract like Jakks used to do in the past with the WWE line. So I was, planning on so many different ways to go about that. Days. Hours turn to days turn to months turn to years, but I was still always wanting to do something in the wrestling figure field. I am a freelance graphic artist. I do work for Mattel. I do work for Jazwares. I do work for Boss Fight Studios along other companies as well. But I'm heavily involved in the wrestling figure industry right now. But I always wanted to do something on my own. Over the past, I want to say year and a half, 2 years, maybe a little bit more, figure photography blew up. A lot more people, the industry changed, YouTube, everything helped out get the figure photography out there. You see people using Fit Finley as a referee. You see them using all these other characters as security guards or camera operators, this and that. And I was like, man, we haven't had a really good referee figure. We had our last one was Earl Hebner in the TNA line. That was really an exclusive. So a lot of people don't really have it. And besides that, his other Jakks offerings from the Titantron Live. And then the Rocky figure, I forget his name. The Rocky line.
Mickey? Is it Mickey?
I forget, but
you got the Toy Biz referee, which is like the OG of referees, isn't it? And obviously you got the Jakks Bone Cruncher, which then come with a referee shirt. There's a couple of those, Vince McMahon in one. But all you tend to see nowadays is like the Sid that come up recently, the SummerSlam Sid.
Correct.
With a referee shirt on. The HBK, I think, come out with one before as well.
Yeah,
so
HBK.
There's nothing designed as like a non-playable character, but you know what I mean?
Correct.
Like a background person. So
exactly.
You see on Instagram now where you get all of the fig feds coming up, you get everything, you get all the back dioramas. I think Wicked Toy Company does the background, or Boss Fight might do the background.
I know Boss Fight has one coming out. There's a company who does all those backgrounds and everything. Oh, I forget their name.
I'll insert an image. That'd be easier. I'll spare our blushes.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry. Yeah. But I was looking at it like, yeah, wouldn't it be great if there was somebody out there who would be able to release those characters? The bigger toy companies aren't really going to be doing that. Even, the people from Mattel said that they won't be able to unless they're underneath the contract, which referees are not underneath the toy contract. The newest thing that we got is the Ref Aubrey figure from the Jazwares, which is an amazing figure, but you also get the big ring with it. That's about $100 price point, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not saying don't buy it. I mean, go get it. I mean, it's a pretty awesome set. But you just don't have those characters. Yeah, I thought it was like, yeah, it is a niche market. A lot of people don't want to, but you're looking at it like a lot of the collectors now, you, myself, we grew up in, I don't know how far back you went, but, I grew up with the tail end of the LJNs, Hasbro, Just Toys, Jax, all them. And collectors nowadays we're older, we have kids, we're reliving our history as children through our kids as well. And it's
blaming it on the kids.
Always. It's not my fault, it's my kid's fault.
The kid loves an 8-ball and a skull figure. What are you talking about? I thought it was the 2-year-old.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's like the collectors in us now want to sort of not, we really want to complete what we had from the past, and we really want an updated version of what we had in the past. Technology has gotten so much better, the figures have advanced. So I'm like, well, wouldn't it be great for somebody to come along and make these figures for those figure photographers? Wouldn't it be great to have those collectors now sort of complete, if they just to display, if they display somebody, winning, like, Hulk Hogan, getting his hand raised by the retro referee, and then you could do like the Attitude Era display. You can get the modern version with the zebra stripe pattern as well. So that's pretty much how I, went about, like, switching from always wanting to do wrestlers to doing the ringside personnel. I sort of like flip a switch, about a year and a half ago. I was like, man, that would be great. And then the next steps were, now how do I go about it if there's no one else out there doing it?
Because I guess obviously the only recent one that comes to mind is the Danny Davis Build-A-Figure that they got.
Correct. Yes, I did forget about that one.
Which obviously Danny Davis was a wrestler, probably more than likely why they could get the contract for him.
Correct.
For him. But with that, you need to buy all of the figures that were in the set as well, which then obviously adds up.
If you didn't get the figures straight right when they were released, you were looking at what, like $80 for a set? Was it an elite set, or
it was the WrestleMania? So you had the Mick Foley, the Booker T, Matt.
Correct. So and minimum US dollars, you're looking at $80 just to get
same over here.
Yeah, to get a Danny Davis figure. You might not wanted the Booker T, you might not wanted Mick Foley, but you still had to fork a pretty penny to get that, and you'd be able to find them on the secondary market like eBay and other sites, but you're still paying top dollar for it as well. So,
but I think with the referees and the security guards. By the way, the security guard looks very familiar. Did you base him on yourself by any chance? Just to...
the event staff, the one with the yellow shirt,
the yellow shirt
looks a little, a little familiar. Hey,
well, what could he do? Why not? Because he got the luxury to do so. Why not? Exactly. So, was there anything with the images of the referees? Was there anything that inspired the looks of those? The people that you know, or just can you not say?
Well, no, hey, this is my lawn. I can say whatever I want to say about it. I got nothing to hide. So, I mean, you're looking at some people like, personal friends, close friends of mine, like my friend Mike. He is actually the referee. The head is actually an image of him. It's a sculpt of him. And going back, you're talking about bone crunching episode and everything. So I was a big fan of the Ringside Collection series from the Jax BCA days. So if you remember that referee with the 2-count hand, and he's like, he has that 2 face. So my friend Mike, I thought resembled that referee, and he's a very generic looking person. So it's like,
shout out to Mike, his generic looks.
There you go. We already spoke about him and his generic looks. But it's like, he'd be a great referee. See, my issue is, don't get me wrong, I wanted to go after names in the industry. I wanted to go after people who were associated with some of these characters. Unfortunately, I don't have the funds really to do that. And that's also the whole point of this Kickstarter, is because to make this work, it's not a cheap process at all.
No.
And do I wish I had the funds to go after somebody like a Mike Chioda or a different referee? Absolutely. Unfortunately, I didn't have the funds to really, write deals with these people. But I would love to. Maybe if this gets funded down the road, we can work something out.
Look at a series too.
Exactly. But yeah, so my friend Mike is the guy who sculpted for the referee. Obviously, myself, I am the event staff. The security guard is another friend of mine who is actually a head of a security company who does stuff in some of the local casinos in this area. Modeled that after him. And then the retro referee is another friend of mine named Sean, who sort of has a more generic look as well to him, the blonde hair. And I mean, he's bald now, but he had the blonde hair and everything. I was like, you know what? I think it all fits. If I try to do the best that I can, I think I did do the best that I can with what I had. And then obviously the stretch goals, those are other people as well. The police officer that I showed, that's actually Brian Beatty, who is the sculptor of the line, who did all the sculpts on everything, the hands, the accessories, the bodies, head. So that first stretch goal is him. And then obviously the other people who were, further down the line, those are obvious people who I know. Or there is, I'll shout him out as well. You saw the Lucha referee. Is actually Eric Aranya of Boss Fight Studio. He's the one who's in charge of the Legends of Lucha line. So he has helped me out trying to get this Kickstarter going. He's given me a good lesson on this as well. So I thought I owed it to him to possibly immortalize him in action figure form.
Well, it looks badass, doesn't it? Looks great, the Lucha referee.
I think they all look badass. Obviously, people be like, oh, you could have done this, you could have done that. But I think for what I'm giving and the costs and everything, I think they came out really good. I just posted pictures yesterday of the Paint Masters. Obviously, there's still some to go. They're not in hand yet. I don't have really anything to show. I should be receiving them next week. So I'll be having a little bit more photography with them as well to get you a little bit more deal. We're going to have the accessory shown and everything as well. I'll be able to show scale between the Mattel, the Jazwares line as well, so you guys can see how well they fit in together. So
awesome. Because I think, well, the packaging wise, to start, you mentioned about the Ringside Chaos. Also, where it gets the homage from is the Ringside line.
Absolutely.
From the Jax
BCS. Yeah. Absolutely. So the packaging is definitely paying homage to the Jax Series 1 of the Bone Crunching Ringside Collection line, which did have Sonny, Vince McMahon, Sable, and the referee in it. So, wanted to pay homage to them because I think they did something that was so far out of the box at the time. And what I'm doing is basically what they did back in the 90s, but now, it's all ringside personnel and everything. So I thought, why not do Ringside Chaos? Like, I always had that name, like, stuck in the back of my head with like Chaos. I want to do something with Chaos for some reason. And then it's like, you know what? You can't have this line without paying homage with that packaging and everything. I did a tease with the packaging on Instagram of, I think a week or two ago to show, but I will have either this Friday or this Saturday, I will be showing the complete, it's not going to be in hand. It's all going to be digital art right now because obviously that's not going to come. None of this stuff is in hand right now, and it's not going to happen unless it gets funded. So we're not going to see mock-ups or anything unless this thing gets funded. It's going to be another few months before we can see packaging mock-ups, but it's all going to be digital art, and you're going to see exactly what the packaging is going to look like, and I think it's going to be awesome.
Next, I saw the little sneak peek that you had. It does look like the back of a Jax, isn't it? It's got all the right fonts on there. It's got all the right colors. Everything you've. I
mean, I had to make some subtle changes here and there, but I think for the most part, we nailed it.
So 30 points of articulation, 10 more of them, 10 times the amount that we do. What was the decision for that? Did you just sort of go, it needs to have this, it needs to have this, and then just add it up, or did you immediately start with it needs to have 30?
Well, I wanted it to be a more modern figure. So I wanted it to fit in scale, and I wanted it to fit within the what's offered right now, what you can get in stores, which is the Mattel line and the Jazwares line. So I wanted to make sure that I had those figures fit snugly right into your lines. I wanted them to gel and wanted them to mold perfectly. They needed to have, the ball joint, the heads, the moving up, down, left to right. When you have a referee and you're doing like the 1, 2, 3 count on the mat, their bodies are never just flat and you're like this. No. You need that movement. So that's why you got your waist. Yeah. Exactly. So it's like you gotta have all those articulation points just like they have right now. And when I was designing this, it was also in the back of my head. It was like, oh, maybe you can also interchange some parts here and there depending on how it's designed and everything. Maybe pop some heads on and off, make those referees and this and that. Maybe you have the Danny Davis head from the Mattel line that you can pop on to a modern referee and be like a modern Danny Davis and all that. But I just needed it to flow. I just needed it to just fit in the offerings now, because don't get me wrong, there are companies out there that are doing LJN style still. There are companies out there that are doing the retro Hasbro style. There are companies doing, the big rubber and this and that. But for the most part, the biggest offerings right now are the Elite, the Ultimate, the AEW line. So I know Zombie has his Earl Hebner that fits in with the Hasbro line, but we're looking to do stuff for the modern collector.
And I think with the touch on the zombie line, they look fantastic, by the way. But
I ordered myself some of them already, so big fan.
Shipping was too much to the UK, I think, for those. But I think a few of the guys that I know have picked up the full sets and picked up the ones they wanted or they missed out on from the Hasbro series anyway. But the L-Head doesn't like there's much articulation with them, especially with like the Sabu. There's not much playability with them, which is obviously where the differs come in this. These look sort of relatively fully playable and fully posable, which is what you're aiming for, I assume, with it. Which is So the rewards for it, because obviously you haven't got to buy the full set to start. It would be great if you did, but if you want just the referee, if you want just the event staff, you've got that luxury of picking and choosing. What was the thought process behind that? Did you sort of just want someone to pick what they wanted?
It's some people might want the event staff, some people might want the security, but you also got to figure that, in planning this as well, I was thinking, maybe not the referees, but you also got the security, you got the event staff, you got the medic, you got other people who can be used as civilians in their Legends line from Marvel, in that you can use them in, your McFarlane, your this and that, you can fit them into different genres as well. But I just wanted to have a well-rounded universe. WWE throws that word around a lot, but it's like a well-rounded wrestling figure universe. You never saw a medic. You never saw like the police officers. You never had a camera guy besides that one grapple gear set from Jax. That was very scarce. But I'm planning this. I think the referee, the modern referee and the retro referee is no brainer. We need to have those people. That's the biggest one. And like I said, a lot of the figure photography that I do see, you'll have security guards and staff workers and everything in their arenas. It's like, maybe we can get those people sitting by the side or controlling the crowd and everything, or blocking a certain character when they're coming down, like recreating a WrestleMania with Hulk Hogan coming down the entranceway, but you had the security blocking. So maybe those are ways to, introduce those into the collectors community, into the figure photographers. So I figured the security, the event staff, and the 2 referees were the main 4. That's sort of what I heard. And I've been a collector since I was 4 or 5 years old. I have 2 older brothers, so I've been involved in wrestling my entire life. I know the wrestling figure community, and I've been on the wrestling figs board on, all social media. And from what the information I gathered was, this is what people mainly want to see. And then from there, I was like, all right, well, people want to see some police, some medics, the camera guy. I threw a timekeeper in there as well, even though a lot of people can.
That's my favorite one, if I'm honest. The timekeeper looks fantastic. I don't know who you modeled it on, but it was great.
Exactly. It's like there's so many different avenues you can go down with them.
I think the medic is quite important. So you recently had the Slambulance come out, the WWE Slambulance, which looks fantastic as an ambulance, if I'm honest. You cut off the SL at the start and you get ambulance. So if you pair the medic with that, scale-wise, it's going to fit, because obviously it's in scale technically with the elites. So it's a gap in the market. A lot of these, I think it's the key thing with it. There is a gap in the market.
And that's why I keep hashtagging to fill the gaps, because there are plenty of gaps in the market. But yeah, I mean, it's now the thing with the stretch goals is, you got your main 4. We needed to get to a certain point to fund the project, and then for every tier is another stretch. So you go, I think, was it 100? I can't off the top of my head. Was it $107,000 after the 99 is the police officer, and then it's like every $10,000 or $15,000 after that is another stretch. Yeah, that's because it does take money to produce these. It's not like we get funded and it's just like you get everything. So it's like, you get funded on the first 4, but now we have to get to those stretch goals. And with the way the economy is nowadays, with everything going on with raw materials and everything, it's taken time, and it's taken more money to get some of these things, for companies like, Mattel and Jazwares, they have the pockets to do it. They have their own resources in their own factories to get a lot of things done. Me, on the other hand, I'm so small. I'm barely a little blip on the radar. But it takes me more to get the final product. If I can get this fully, listen, in a perfect world, I want it fully funded, because I want to give everyone everything. I would love to see the first 4 funded, and from there, I would love to, just hit every goal. But it does take, and like I said, it's not a cheap process. It's a long and expensive process to get toys made. And with all the issues with raw materials and everything nowadays, it's just going to be going up. So as of right now, the price point at $30 seemed to be fair. There might be some wiggle room here and there, but with production, packaging, and a lot of the biggest issues right now is shipping with everything going on with the ports and everything. Shipping prices are going up, and they're going up at a steady pace. So what I was quoted at shipping for 2-3 weeks ago could drastically go up within the next 2-3 months by the time this is ready to ship. So, and with the issues with raw material is, in the past, you'd have an easy 8-10 months to get a figure fully produced, shipped over in hand. Little by little, it's now going up, and then it was 10 to 12. In the past few years, at least 10 to 12 months, you'd have a full figure in hand on the store pegs. With all the issues going on because of the pandemic and everything, because of raw material issues, with all the port issues, you're looking at 12 to 14, possibly even more. So that's where it may have thrown a lot of people off, where I put down that ship by February, March of 2023, because this is going to end in December. So another 12 months from next month, when it ends, is going to be December of 2022. So now they're talking possibly 14 months. That pushes us back to February, March. And you also got to factor in, guess what happens? Jeremy Padara's favorite comment, Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year will throw things down in January, correct? So that's why I put down February, even though it might be February, March. But things might change between now and 3-4 months, where that might change to, hey, I can possibly get this stuff out by November of the following year, not January, February, March of the following year.
It's better so there's so many worst case scenario, because you look like a hero if it's early.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would love to have these in hand to everyone now, but it's just unfortunately just not the way it works. So,
well, we look at Super 7 for an example. They announced the Matt Cardona and Brian Myers figures last July, I think it was.
I think you started seeing like around San Diego Comic-Con last year or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
they were announced then, and that Super 7, who were relatively, they've got a few fingers and a few pies, so they've got
absolutely.
And still we're in November 2021 now, and still nothing from. So correct. I think for the smaller people, forgive me for saying it, but it's going to be that slow process.
Absolutely,
you can't expect it the day after, can you? Like Mattel do. So
I know.
So yeah, I think it's just one of those things. You just got to sort of suck it up and
yeah, like exactly. I mean, it sucks. It does. I hate waiting. Like I'm a collector myself, and I mean, I'm not like nipping at the bud to like, oh, I have to, like, once I see somebody post, oh, I found this, I can't go out and be like, oh my God, I gotta get this. I gotta be the first one. But I understand that it's going to take time. And, like if you're Mattel, if you're Hasbro, for those big companies, McFarlane right now, you're feeling the effects as well, but not as bad as a smaller, companies as well. And I'm probably one of, if not the smallest company in the game right now, because I'm one person. I have, somebody doing sculpting, somebody doing, painting, but I'm doing all the planning, all the social media, everything. That's me and me only. I'm doing all the artwork that's going into the figures. So if you have Mattel, WWE, Elites, Ultimates, if you have Jazwares, AEWs, if you have some of the boss fights and you love the paint and you love the deco and everything, that's what you're getting with this, because like I said in the past, I do work I'm a freelance graphic artist for Mattel, for Jazwares, for Boss Fight, on a lot of their wrestling lines. So you're getting that passion, you're getting that dedication. I'm doing the artwork for the packaging as well. All the planning, talking to the factory and everything. That's me. I don't have a whole group of people. It's me. And as much as my wife can help me, she's doing that. But I do have other people in the field who are, who I'll reach out to. Hey, can you help me with this? Hey, I need some information. Can you help me in this and that? So there are people who are helping me, but it's like, I'm one man. I can only do what I can. And this is a passion project of mine for 5 years, and it's finally happening. And I just want to see it succeed. If we can't hit all the stretch goals, yeah, it sucks, but I would love to see something happen, $99,000. Yeah, it might seem like a lot to some people, but it's really not. If you look at it, $30 a head it can put, it might be big for some people, might not be. I don't have that, I'm going to fund this as, even though it's my project, I'm putting my own money into it. I put as much money as I can right now. So I would love to see this get made as much as I'm a little, I don't want to say upset, but I'm like, all right, come on. We just hit 10. We just about hit the 10,000 mark. We got, what is it? 80, 89 more to go. It's like, we still have a little over 3 weeks. It's like, we can do this. We can do this. It's not, I mean, yeah, it is a lot, but it's not a lot at the same time. $30, one figure. We only need a certain amount of people to get to it. So, I'm hoping it might go, it'll give me, a ton of nightmares, a ton of restless nights, but I hope it goes the way of what Mattel did with their crowdfunder, how towards the end it just skyrocketed.
Snowballed.
But yeah, I would love to see this made, and it's not because it's like, I want to make all the money in the world. I'm not really going to be making much off of this. What I'm going to be making is just giving the collectors, giving the photographers, giving the fans, what they want is just, just to make sure they're happy with the product, make sure that they can fill their gaps, and just give them a well-rounded, feel accomplished, because that's how I would feel,
You also have your foot in the door as well, to some extent.
Yeah, and go ahead.
So that's one of the most important things, isn't it? Is people having the figures in hand and going, where'd you get them from? Your company name then gets thrown around, and you then get reputation.
Absolutely.
Then you release more.
Listen, I have a notepad full of at least 3 more sets that I would love to do with names, with characters from the past who are well known. Because if this doesn't get funded, we don't get anything. If it doesn't get funded, we're not getting one single figure at all. Like, you get nothing. And I don't want that to happen. I mean, we might not get them all, but I want to give at least something. So if I can get this first 4, then maybe I can, restructure it to possibly get those names in, give it a little boost, get the name out there a little bit more to get some of those characters. There's so many untapped talent out there just with Ringside personnel alone. announcers, commentators, managers, valets, just people around that, that would make an amazing figure. So I do have a lot of people penciled in, and I would love to see that happen. And that's one of my goals. And that's basically it. I
just buy it. Just
buy it. Come on. Listen, you can put down. I mean, you're not going to get charged. I think that's what a lot of people are maybe scared of. You're not going to get charged up front. You're only going to get charged if the campaign meets goal.
Yeah.
So if you're scared that it's not going to, you're going to get charged right away, you're not going to. So, hell, if you want it, you don't even have to get a figure. There is an option where you can pledge just to, say thank you. Here's $1, here's $2. Hopefully you can get to your goal, make everyone else, happy that they're finally getting something to, be happy about within their collection as well. So, I mean, that's basically it. It's get it done.
I think we saw with the you said before about the Mattel crowdfunding that it did work. People are a bit dubious about how it works, but have you thought about looking into speaking to wrestling figure shops, speaking to suppliers, that sort of thing? There's a few based in the UK that might be interested in this sort of thing as well. Is that an avenue?
Obviously, since I'm a part, since I'm in USA. In America, I have reached out to some places here. Obviously, I don't know a lot of, I know there's Wrestling Figure Shop, who's based in the UK, does a lot of online sales. I know that there are places out there. There's so many more things that I would love to do with this. And like I said, I'm only one person, and I'm trying to balance everything that I can. I do have a full-time 50+ hour a week job that I do along the lines of being a husband, a father, being, on this project, on my own project, and doing freelance graphic design work for a lot of the other toy companies. I'm balding and gray, and I used to have beautiful long hair and stress-free, and I'm surprised that I'm even functioning right now talking to you about, this. So I wear many hats, and I wish I could wear more hats and get it out there, but a lot of networking.
You have to wear a hat now, didn't you? Cover up.
But yeah, there's so many like online shops, even in UK, even in other countries and everything. I would love to reach out to them. It's just it takes time and it takes a lot of effort, a lot of dedication. I have the dedication. I need the time and everything. I'm trying to make the time as best as I can because I would love to see this succeed. There's no reason why this shouldn't succeed.
No, exactly. And you got to back the small guy every now and again, haven't you? I think that's the joy. So we look at the tiers quickly now. So as you mentioned, you sort of touched on it before. So you get the original 4. So you get the obviously event staff, the security, and the 2 referees, the old school one and the sort of pinstripe one. 107,000. You get the police detective, who I touched on before. Looks like Agent Dokes from Dexter. Don't know whether that's the incentive for it.
There's been a few people who mentioned that. Oh, that looks like this person. That looks like that person. Like Terry Crews comes to mind. Yeah, from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But that's actually Brian Beatty, who's the guy who's sculpting everything in this line. So that's his likeness there.
Hey, he could be compared to worse. Terry Crews is a well-built guy.
He is.
Medic is 120,000. I'm quite fond of the medic as well, because I think I said before about the Slambulance, all the great next to it. The timekeeper, who looks fantastic. We haven't had a ring bell since Jack's, have we? I didn't think one in that sort of shape.
Yeah, you got the ring bell, the hammer, which if you notice that he has the hole in the hand, it's a closed hand, but it has the hole, so you can actually hold the ring bell.
Sort of like the
it's not the C grip. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So. I always say it reminds me of what Hasbro did with the second release, Hacksaw Jim Duggan with the flag. The purple carded series, how they had the hole in the hand so you can hold the flag. It's just like that concept.
Perfect. That's what we want it for. And then you got the Lucha referee, who's the Boss Fight Studio.
Eric Aranya. Yep.
And you got the retro camera operator. As you said, we haven't had one of those since the WrestleMania 2000 grapple gear, have we?
Yeah, and that was more of like just a thrown together. That was just a repainted referee who wasn't really in the an attire that a camera guy actually wears. So
it was a Jax Titantron packaging in the Jax Titantron series, but a Jax BCA figure that they've released.
Correct. It had the the case, the shipping case or whatever with the big WWF logo or whatever on the top. You know, it had the light, the camera, and everything, and then it had that figure in the hat. So
I picked one of those up recently. I've got it in front of my Ric Flair, sort of reenacting the '92 Rumble.
There you go.
And then obviously we discussed as well before we go on air was the person-made head sculpt that you did. Obviously, I didn't touch on it. It's $800 price point for it, but the way that you explained it makes complete sense as to why it would be that much. Go into it, please.
So I don't know if it has updated yet or not, but I actually did lower the price a little bit. It's now $500, down from the $800. And the reason why is because you got to realize that it's going to be a one-off sculpt. You have to have the artist, Brian Beatty, who is a very well-renowned digital artist. He is doing the digital sculpt. He's taking his own time, his own process, his own everything, and creating that digital sculpt. So you're going to have a custom head sculpt of yourself. It's a one of one. Well, let me backtrack. It's going to be about a one of three because it'll be a one of one sculpt because it's going to be the only sculpt, but it's going to be hand painted as well by the same person who does the Paint Masters. His name is Ed Bradley. He is also known for doing Paint Masters in other major toy companies as well. Don't really know if I can say which toy companies those are, but he does paint work for them as well. So he's also going to be taking his own time, his own money, his own products to make that figure painted up. So you're going to get a one-of-one sculpted head sculpt, and it's going to be custom painted to your likeness as well. And you're also going to get at least, 2 more heads with that, but they're going to be unpainted, resin casts as well. You're also going to get the figure of, whatever if you want to be the event staff, security, referee, retro referee. If we hit the stretch goals, you can be the medic, you can be the lucha referee, you can be whoever you want, as long as those stretch goals are met. But you're going to get the body as well with that. You're also going to get the packaging. You're going to get it all. You're going to get all the bells and whistles with what comes with a figure. So, it's not a cheap process to begin with. Some people are like, oh, I only have to put $15 for this pledge if people are doing custom sculpts online, which have been made, but you also got to realize, but they're also asking $15 from at least 15, 20 different people, so you're looking at $300, $400, $500 to begin with that. So you got to realize it's really in the ballpark where it needs to be. You're getting a one-off custom head sculpt of yourself on a figure. And hell, you can even pull that head onto it's going to be the same size. You can put it onto a Jazwares or Mattel figure or something. So,
and not only that as well, it's not done from some bloke in his basement. It's done from a professional company.
You got you got a professional. I would say, a professional company with a professional sculptor with a professional paint artist. So you got your 3 right there: your company, your artist, and your sculptor.
For $500 it's down to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, it might be a far stretch for a lot of people, but there might be people out there who might want that to happen, who have the funds. So it's just a little initiative just to give somebody else who might be like, oh hell, I wanted to be a figure. I don't have any kids. I don't have anything to worry about this now.
Well, it's interesting.
But
Well, I interviewed Joey Knight, who's got his own Chella Toys figure coming out.
Yeah, he's got his. Yes, I do follow Chella Toys. I love what they're doing as well and everything. So anything that involves wrestling figure, I'm aware of. I'm out there. I'm out. I'm stalking. I'm stalking the night.
So obviously, Joey was saying, obviously, how hard it had a dream of having his own wrestling figure made.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for $500, you can pay to have that. So a lot of people have that anyway. Obviously. Me myself, I've obviously had the same dreams. Have a wrestling figure made. Why not? So yeah, for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I started training in 2003, and I literally just had my comeback match about 2.5 weeks ago for an organization in Chicago, which is a good 15-hour drive for me from where I was. But I started training as being a professional wrestler in 2003, and obviously. I know for myself and a lot of friends, when you're a professional wrestler and you want to make it, you may be on TV and everything. One of your biggest goals is, I would love to be immortalized in an action figure.
Yeah.
So I know how it feels to want an action figure of myself. I actually am the, like we said, I am the event staff, so I have an action figure of myself. It's not how I look when I wrestled, and the knee pads and the boots and the singlet and everything, but it is something. So it is an amazing feeling. And it's, you know, if you think about it, I'm actually spending more money to get a figure of myself made that I actually already did than somebody would be paying that $500 for right now, because the whole entire thing that was sculpted off of me first. So it's like, you know, all this money and everything went into that sculpt, and everything that was sculpted after me. So it's like, I put a lot of effort, a lot of my own money. I didn't, you know, everything, all the prototypes, paint masters, all the sketches, everything that has went into this crowdfunding campaign so far has been funded by me. And it's I'm not bringing in anyone outside and everything. It's my own personal money, and my pockets were only so deep to begin with. And it, you know, and that's, and again, that's also why this is a crowdfunder campaign, a Kickstarter campaign. It's because, you know, there's no hiding. Yeah, we need help to get to where we need to produce this. You're basically supporting this line. You're basically the support to make this dream a reality. So for you to back this, it's basically saying, hey, listen, I want this. I have people who want this. Let's get it done. Let's get it made, because this is something amazing, which I think it's something amazing. A lot of other people think it's something amazing. Some people, they might not, but it is what it is.
And well, we do as well. And that's why I wanted to get you on, was to discuss, because I think there's something amazing. Yeah. It's outside the box, isn't it? It's so far outside the box that the box is a dot to you. That's how so outside the box you are. So obviously anything from, as you said, you can pledge anything from $1 all the way up to the $500 to have your custom.
Exactly. You can even pledge $99,000 just to get this going. You can pledge any amount of money you want. Obviously you can pledge to get certain, you got a single, you can pledge on each character, you can get a 2-pack. If you want 2 figures, you can, you know, obviously at the end with the backer kit, you know, after everything is said and done, you know, as long as it gets funded, you'll have the option to pick exactly which ones. Like, let's just say you get the 4-pack and you're just like, oh, you know what, I really don't have a need for a event staff, but I want 2 security guards. You can get both referees, and you can get 2 security guards. And that's the way. And then you can get the bundle of 8, you can get the bundle of 4, you can get everything, which is all, you know, as long as all the stretch goals are hit, you can get all 9 figures. They're, you know, within the next week or two, there might be something else that pops up on there. Not going to say there is or isn't, but there might be a little extra something, a little incentive as well, a little add-on possibly. But as long as you
worked for Mattel, didn't it?
It did. Yeah.
I'm guessing it's not a macho that you're putting on. So you got the World Champion package, which I'll read through this, because this is probably the one that it's got 7 backers at the moment, which is great to see. But you get one of every available item once the Kickstarter is finished. So you get everything from the original 4, so the retro referee, the modern ref, the event staff, the security guard, and all the unlocked stretch goal offerings. So you get everything, the medic, you get the timekeeper, everything, if it's unlocked.
Exactly, and that's the key point, is as long as it's unlocked. So in the backer kit at the end, if we don't hit, let's just say we don't hit the camera guy, but we hit everything else, technically, yes, you are in for 9 figures. So if there's an extra figure that you want, then you can say, oh, you know what, we can get to the camera guy, then you know what,
2 medics.
Give me 2 medics, give me 2 event staff, give me 2 security guards. But in the end, a lot of people might not know this, but there's a thing at the end called a backer kit, and you have the opportunity to do more funding if you like. There is opportunity to get to, you know, the people who did fund the project, there is opportunity to get to that stretch goal if it wasn't hit still. So there is opportunity to add your funds and get to that camera guy if we just can't hit it. But there's going to be a lot of communication and a lot of stuff that you might not know. You'll know in the backer kit, like, oh, okay, like if this doesn't happen, then we can do this doesn't happen, do this. And if for some reason something happens, you know, you can change things. So
flexible.
I can't really go into too many details, really, but it's for the people who haven't done anything on Kickstarter. You can do some research and everything, and you get a little bit more understanding of how it works and what the backer kit is as well. But it's a really solid, foolproof program. And shit, I'm sorry, for my language. Just let's make this happen. Come on, really.
I think the important thing we touched on that is...
I'm sorry, for cursing.
Oh, no, you're right.
Blank that out or whatever.
I've got a bleep about it, and you're fine. So with the fact that you're a smaller company means that you're relatively more accessible for contacts. I say if someone had a question, just pop you a DM. Also, you go on Instagram, go on Twitter, Facebook, anything. And you're not one of the big wigs. You can give a straight answer straight back, which is one of the big things for us.
You're just getting straight honesty from me. I'm not. There's nothing to hide. There's I can't beat around the bush. I can't beat around the bush, but I have no reason to.
No.
And I tell people this: listen, it's not. It might not be for you. If it's not for you, well, go on, move on to something else. Don't back it. If you're mad at this, well, this is the way it is. This is what you get.
Pretty sad to be mad at a passion project sometimes.
Exactly.
I'd certainly say the quote of it is shit, just back it. I think it's the
there you go.
Which I'd say I will be backing. I'll be checking with the wife how much I can back. But I think
hell, even if it's $1, even if it's $2, just to show that you support us and you support our idea and our just our funding and this project. You're just basically supporting everything that collectors want and everyone else want.
And I think the fig fed, as I said, the fig feds, the fig photography, everything is becoming so popular nowadays that you don't need 2-3 event staff. The crowd could be next potentially. Let me know, but either way, it's just a project that needs backing. It's a project that can open up a whole realm of things, couldn't they? Also.
Absolutely. There's so much. There's so much more out there that we can just do, and as long as this gets fully backed, we might not be like I said before, we might not be able to get to the stretch goals, but if we can get backing on a good amount of it, there's so much more potential out there. There's so many more. Like I said this in another podcast. If you followed professional wrestling and specifically WWE in the late '80s and early '90s, there was a female ring announcer. Her name was Mike McGurk. She had this beautiful poof of blonde long hair, always wore these sequence jackets and everything. And it's like there's who would not want to just take pictures of her just introducing wrestlers to the ring from your 80s and 90s and everything, and just make it look just so much more better. That's another thing we really don't have is a lot of ring announcers. Yeah, you have a few from Mattel and a few from Jax, but it's the Fink. You have Michael Buffer from the Rocky line from Jax. There might be another one.
So I don't think the UFC released the
Bruce Buffer. No, that was a prototype and it never got released. No. And then you got Lillian Garcia from the Jax line, but you don't have ring announcers.
No. And commentators as well. Few and far between. You got a Jerry Lawler figure behind you, but he's in his wrestling gear. It does work perfect.
And it's personally signed. Guy's an amazing artist as well.
So you got the JR, which was the builder figure. But I'd said with the Jax BCA line, you had the Jerry Lawler figure in that attire, and you also had the JR with the War Tony.
War Tony. I still have that in my collection. War Tony's in my collection.
But you've got everything, those two. Jim Cornette is another one that you wouldn't see nowadays.
Well, he can only move his arms. You can't really pose him or anything.
Exactly. And the tennis racket snaps off.
Absolutely. But how amazing would modern figures of a lot of those people be in the scale of what I'm doing with this line?
Yeah.
In the scale of Jax. I'm sorry, in the scale of Mattel and in the scale of Jazwares, I meant to say. Just to fit everything, just to make your arena setup, just to make your collection just that much more complete.
Exactly. It's a talking point, it's an eye popper, and it's certainly something I hope gets back, as I'm sure you do.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. So any final points on your line there, Daniel? Anything to get this over the line for the people?
Just help. Just let this thing just back it. Yeah, just make it happen. We hit the $10,000 mark. I think we just hit the $10,000 mark. And we have a little ways to go. We still have 3 weeks left, but don't hesitate. If you want it, just do it, get it done. The quicker we can get it done, the more opportunities we can get to those stretch goals.
Definitely.
So that's what we're hoping for. We're just hoping to just fill your collection, fill the gaps, just make everyone happy, just even if you don't want a figure, even if you're just like, oh, that's amazing, thank you so much for this, you're doing something great for the community, there's an option where you can just give a little thank you as well. So just, if you want to contact me, talk about it, there's comments section in the Kickstarter. I am on Instagram. I am on Twitter. Just the way you reached out via Facebook as well. I can be reached. And I might not get back to you right away, but you'll hear a response from me, as soon as I can. So even if you're concerned, reach out. I'm a very open, honest person when it comes to this. There's don't feel, nervous or scared. I'm,
a normal guy.
I'm a normal dude, just trying to, just trying to make things happen for everyone else. Just, and that's what I care about, because the more we can get out there, the better it is for everyone.
Exactly. And I think that, we need to, even if it's just telling a friend, even if it's just saying, comment on a post saying it looks great, share a post,
retweet. tag, share, retweet, do whatever you got to do, and just gotta be, gotta make more people well aware of what's going on. Exactly. So
and look what happened with the cello line. We just touched on it earlier, but started off as a very small company and now churning out releases left, right,
absolutely.
And all look
fantastic. You got wrestlers from the past reaching out to them now, not them reaching out to others.
Exactly. So that's where this could go. So
it really could. There's so much, like we said already, there's so much untapped talent. There's so much potential that this line can do in the future, and that's just on ringside personnel alone. Would I love to do actual wrestlers in the future? Yeah,
why not?
Absolutely. But as of right now, I think I want to hit on the market that's really not touched upon right now. Who I would love to have an arena set up with Gordon Soley calling my matches.
You can have a podcast figure made, couldn't you? We can get that done.
Maybe, I don't know. A super fan series, podcast series. Absolutely.
Why not? Is it considered?
You can do it.
Yeah, wrestling podcasts are popular nowadays, aren't they?
Absolutely.
I might try one. So to end us off, just back it. It's as simple as going on to Kickstarter. You got the big company in Kickstarter to not worry about anything. They take care of everything. Reach out to Squared Circle Toys. If you have any questions, follow them, like, subscribe, do the same to us on the podcast whilst you're there. And Daniel, thank you for your time and thank you for your passion project.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate you allowing me onto your show and to just spread the word and spread everything. So, like I said in the past, don't hesitate to reach out.
Don't tell me to spread everything. That's a different sort of request. That is.
All right. Well, we'll cut that one out. Get rid of that one. But if you don't mind, if I can say, if you want to contact me, if you're not, privy to my Instagram, it's at Squared Circle Toys on Instagram, and I'm at Squared Circle NJ on Twitter. Facebook, Squared Circle Toys. The website is squaredcircletoys.com. There's a link there that will take you to the Kickstarter, and you go on the Kickstarter and just, search for Squared Circle Toys. And the link to the Kickstarter is also in the bio on Instagram. So
I'll also put it all in the description. So correct. If you listen on audio, though, I'll put it into the description for there. Same with on YouTube. Look for the comments in the description. I'll put all the links in there. I'll put all the links to your Facebook, all the links to your Instagram, as well as the Kickstarter on there. So you can look at how great these figures are. Because it's all well and good us subscribing them, but they talk for themselves.
Absolutely. I'll have, I just posted pictures, like I said yesterday, of the Paint Master. So things are coming. So I only have 3 weeks left, but within the next week or two, you're going to have pictures and just, wet your palates a little bit more to, hopefully, fund this and get it going where it needs to be.
You'll put the tip in, essentially.
There you go.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time. We'll get this over the line if we need to. And yeah, brilliant. Thank you for your time, and thanks for appearing on the 3 Points of Articulation podcast.
No problem. Thank you.
All the best.